All right.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Oswego County Industrial Development Agency meeting of September 28, 2022. And before we begin, I'm going to have our CFO, Kevin Lamontagne, introduce the guests we have in attendance. And then I'm going to have our recording secretary, Len Schick, kind of do a roll call to make sure that we have a quorum present. So,
Right.
Kevin?
So first with guests, we have Matt Surveil from Village Shore, located up in Richland. And also, as far as staff, we have Mike Treadwell, the CEO of the agency, and Kevin Lamontagne, the CFO of the agency, and we have our general counsel, Kevin Kirkcallie.
Okay, thank you. Matt, welcome to the meeting.
Thank you very much.
So, Len,
Okay, Gary Toth,
present.
Nick Canale,
Present.
Tim Stahl,
Present.
Mark Greco,
Here.
Tricia Clark Peters,
Present.
and I got that wrong, didn't
That's okay.
I? Barry Trumbull,
Present.
Len Schick is present, that's everyone.
Okay, we have a quorum, full quorum.
Yeah.
Okay, the first item on our agenda is we'd like to introduce our new board member, Tricia Peter Clark. And what I'd like to do is kind of turn it over to Mike to welcome her and say whatever he feels like discussing.
That's a dangerous
I was gonna say, next voice, clean.
Well, Tricia was appointed to the IDA at the September 15th meeting of the county legislature. I'd like to, since her review went through the EDP committee as well as the full legislative board. Tim, do you want to outline briefly the process that Tricia went, and every IDA board member has went through this process, but
Yeah, absolutely. Well, whenever there's a vacancy or an opening on the board, the chair and the board usually will put forward a name, and the chairman of the legislature will review it. If he thinks it makes sense and the person will do a great job and be an asset to the board, he would put it forward as his recommendation to the committee, which is the Economic Development Committee, which I chair currently. We'll review it, discuss it, and we'll recommend it if it makes sense to the board, to the full legislature, and then at that meeting they will vote on it. And Tricia was put forward. I don't think anybody sent her resume. I don't think anyone could argue that she will be a huge asset to this board. I'm excited to have her here. So.
Thank you.
Trish is also, in addition to this board, she is also the treasurer of Operation Oswego County as well. So she's wearing multiple hats in the economic development field. And she's CEO. Her second job, she's CEO.
It's been like that lately,
yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're glad
I'm
to
happy
have
to
you
be
on
here.
our board.
Welcome, Tricia, and thank you very much. And reading your resume when I submitted it, I was impressed not only by your resume, but the one thing that I think uniquely qualifies her for our organization is you have healthcare facilities in basically every town and municipality in Oswego County. So, I mean, it's not like you're located in just one area. So I think that's going to be an asset. Plus, representing one of the largest private, businesses in Oswego County, healthcare, is something we haven't had since Dee Heckathorn was on our board.
Yeah.
And Dee was tremendous. So,
I look forward to
again,
being here.
welcome.
Born and raised in Oswego County, grew up in Sandy Creek, graduated, went to Buffalo for a while where I pursued my undergraduate degree and moved back here. Live central in the county in Mexico, so it's nice for me to be able to get to any location I have. And we've been growing to try to meet the needs in our community, which everybody knows is endless. So it's important for me to have a good, strong economic development agency and support so that we continue to draw good people into our community to support our health system. So, and the rest of our businesses, if we've seen nothing else during COVID, is the need to stay united as a small community so that we stay strong and persevere through difficult times. So I'm happy and proud to be a part of this board. So thank you all for having me and your support in getting here.
And we're very happy to have you on board. So
Thank you.
thank you very much. Okay, so moving down our agenda, the minutes of August 31st, 2022. Now, Trish, did you get these on the portal?
Yes.
Okay, everybody got them on the portal? Everybody had a chance to review them? Can I have a motion and a second to accept the minutes as written?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Nick Canale. Do I have a second? Seconded by Tim Stahl. Are there any additions, errors, or corrections to the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are carried. Okay, the notice of the meeting was in the Palladium Times on September 2022, September 20th, 2022. And now we're going to agenda item number 4, Felix Schuler Paper, North America Inc. And am I turning this over to Kevin or Mike? Or?
I could give a brief, maybe I'll give a brief opening of what we're working on with Felix Schuler and our guest Matt here. And then turn it over to you, Matt, to talk about the project. So sure. So we've worked with Schuler over the years in a number of different ways. In fact, we currently have a pilot agreement with Schuler based on some past projects and 2 loans outstanding that are nearing being paid off.
Can I throw in a quick piece of history?
Mhm.
The IDA participated in the financing of the original Scholler development with a tax exempt bond transaction way back. I don't even remember how far back it was, but it was in the very beginning when they built the 5th facility in Alaska.
So a long history of working together, and I'll leave the details to Matt, not steal the thunder about the exciting new project they have going on. But they have applied, and certainly a qualified project to apply for a pilot, manufacturing pilot, and sales tax exemptions. So we'll be talking about the details of that in more detail. But so that's what we're working through with Schuler now. And today on the agenda is the initial resolution as normal, which would authorize the public hearing and move forward. And Matt will talk something about his timeline, but they're moving pretty quick, and they're definitely deep into the engineering side and specifications side now, and hope to start some site work, some kind of rough work in November of this year. So we're going to hopefully move pretty quickly is our plan in order to provide the sales tax exemptions in time for the project to start. So the timing's good. It's just we're kind of right on track with each other. So Matt, maybe I could.
Yeah, absolutely. So the site in Pulaski,
Come up to the table here.
sit at the table,
Yeah.
stand, or talk
Well,
about
that's
easily we've got up there.
whichever you're comfortable with.
Seems it's probably easier.
Yeah.
So 1961
61.
is when the site was first built. We've had a long history since then. I'll say back in 2005, we ceased with manufacturing that we had there. We moved to just converting. This represents a reintroduction of manufacturing for us into the site, which is huge. As you can see over here, maybe not because of the size that I printed it out. We have about a 70-yard long machine called a silicone coater that we are scheduling to have first good product for our customers September 2023. Civil works commencing in November 2022.
Wow.
And then the
That
timeline
is
is
fast.
ramping up through there. Yeah.
When less than a year from now.
Yeah, exactly. So it's an ambitious project. We're a German-based company, so the nice thing is we have a lot of engineering resources that we're pulling in from this, and they'll be on site helping us bring it together. But the scale of this is kind of hard to imagine, like 3/4 the size of a football field. And what I actually have on the flip side.
And you're talking about an American football.
And what I have on the flip side kind of shows that outline, the footprint that I'll have here. Maybe I can pass this around in a minute as well, just to give people a view of it. The big part of this project, though, one of the reasons this is so important is this is going into a hall that's empty, basically completely empty. And again, we ceased manufacturing of paper products in Pulaski back in 2005. We have a number of halls and square footage that's just unutilized or underutilized. This market segment we call release. My example is always a Band-Aid. You take that paper, peel it off, and throw it away. Well, that's the product that we make. Highly technical, highly specialized type of product. And this will be a step to increasing the actual manufacturing we have, allowing us to grow our market share in North America here. And it's part of a broader strategy where we see additional machinery coming in afterwards and growing in the coming years. So it's a hugely important project for us. It's critical for our success in North America and keeping the site in Pulaski strong and growing.
Now the property that's being used is the property to the east, well, it runs kind of parallel to the road. It's that section of the building, not where the paper mill equipment used to be.
Yes, the closest wall that you'd see if you're driving along the road there is going to be mostly warehousing. So we do converting, we call it today, so large rolls of paper, convert them down to 4x6 or different formats people might use for digital media. And then adjacent to that you see a little bit set back further from the road is the hall that we would be using for this. The other areas where paper machine used to be, a paper machine, I don't know if anybody has seen one in person. When it's taken out, it leaves a pretty massive scar. So there's a hall with a big hole in the center, 2 stories up.
It could be a big swing.
It could be, it's one of the areas we'd like to put something in the future. It'll definitely be interesting how we could engineer a solution to take advantage of that. Thought about high bay warehousing, automated warehousing that utilizes that kind of hole in the ground up to the ceiling. Those would be kind of future projects to see how we can continue to utilize the space that's available.
Who's gonna be this paper product? Who's gonna be the end user? Who's gonna be using it?
So it's business to business. So a lot of large manufacturers would purchase it. That Band-Aid is just one example. Others, specifically from the pandemic, we saw graphics on the floor that said stand 6 feet apart. That vinyl is what our customers make and print and send out. And we sell them. The liner that goes in the back gets the adhesive to where it needs to go, with it being able to stick to the ground. Our product unfortunately gets thrown out there, so the end customer never sees it. That's part of the industry.
They get thrown out, so they have to buy it again to redo it.
That's the benefit, yeah. And the other somewhat interesting product, the foam bridge that would have been on some of these masks people were using, that foam can be cast on our product as well. And again, a manufacturing process that our liner is stripped away, it releases, that's the name release liner. So many different applications and uses for the products. So a lot of engineering and specialty work that goes into building those products for customers and then ultimately making them on our equipment.
And Matt, if I understand correctly, Scholler is in this business already in other plants outside of the United States, perhaps. Or...
Yes. So our manufacturing today for this market is basically 100% in Germany. So we make the paper. Our second step is called extrusion. It's putting a polymer on the paper, and then that third step is silicone coating. Today we have a machine that does steps 2 and 3 in line, one after the other, and this machine will give us offline capabilities that we can go and do that third production step locally. So we'll have a mixture, still bringing in some product from Germany, but today we are, I don't even know, 115, 125% booked. There's just demand crazy growing year over year. We've been silicone coating for about 15 years, and we've filled up the assets in Germany, and when you do that, you get to say, okay, what are we doing next? Are we building this there? Are we building in Canada? Are we building in Pulaski? And ultimately, we're able to justify the project in Pulaski based on the footprints available and also the experience that we have from previous manufacturing. So that's what we're looking to do is take that excess demand that we have, bring it onto this machine and keep growing with a market that shows strong growth year over year.
So you're just manufacturing the release liner, then you send that in some type of a bundle or to the end user who then assembles?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So we call them mill rolls. These are big jumbo rolls of paper. So we bring mill rolls in, silicone coat them, and then we'd send truckloads of material out to customers. So it's a large roll that kind of.
Do you export any of this, or is it all going to be U.S. use?
There will be some to South America as well, but majority of it's going to be to the United States.
Your
Some to
customers
Canada.
may export the finished goods, I guess.
They
of
may.
this product.
Yeah.
So Matt, what's the estimated number of jobs that would be involved with this? Is it more automated where you don't really need as much for staffing, or would be staffing included?
So we're looking at 30 jobs total being added with this machine. 2/3 of those approximately are going to be union jobs, operators working on the machine, and then 1/3 are going to be office jobs. So engineering support, R&D as well.
We currently have about 145.
145?
Would you mind sharing the project budget that's in the app, or about the number that's in your head, round figure?
Yep, the number keeps changing,
Yeah.
only in one direction. So we're at 22.5 million right now for the project budget. So it's a sizable investment. I will say is it kind of represents that shift back to true manufacturing for us. the steps after this grow. We'd ultimately like to bring that other type of machine I talked about, an extruder, and have that capability on site as well. So there's further investment beyond this, essentially bringing back up the engineering R&D facilities in our site here. Having that manufacturing will give us the ability to add further machines and really utilize the site like it once was.
Would that extruder dictate new construction, or would it be used in the existing structures of the?
Wouldn't be able to say one way or the other right now. That goes back to the paper machine hall question. It's likely beyond this project that we would need to add square footage. We would need to expand the facility. If not for the extruder, then for warehousing to support the increased volumes at that point. This project is contained, besides 3/4 of an acre for some storage tanks outside the building, and it's utilizing the site we have. We'd like to get to the point where we're breaking ground and adding. We have quite an amount of acreage that we could utilize up there, whether it's a brownfield we already have or it's just greenfield we add on a site. So
You still operate your wastewater treatment facility?
we do significantly reduced from having a paper machine to not. It changes your water consumption and your needs. So.
Now, this is a leading question, but is it fair to say that the average wage of the new jobs will be significantly higher than your average wage today, based on the mix of your production staff being basically cutting and hacking versus the more technical jobs?
It will be.
Yeah.
One of the other exciting things we'd like to do with this machine is utilize a new type of qualification for the operators. We'd like to have everybody equally qualified on the machine and rotates. We typically have a machine lead and then kind of go all the way down to fork truck driver. We want to utilize some cutting edge manufacturers' designs for their operator teams and have that cross qualification so people continually rotate through and ultimately produce a very high quality product. The difficulty of silicone coating is that layer you're putting onto a product is 1/100th the thickness of a human hair. So you have to have pretty high manufacturing tolerances to do that consistently and make sure you don't have defects. On our customers' ends, they have somewhat catastrophic defects. If we have gaps in that, go to peel sticker off. If it doesn't peel, okay, that's maybe a rejection of a lot of material. So there's a lot of costs associated with that, and that's where the higher skilled employees justifies the higher leadership they would.
Okay, great, thanks.
Man, what's the timeline on this from, when you start to when you think you're gonna be in production?
So November is the first kind of civil work for this year, significant civil work. Dry conditioning is going to start April or May 2023, and then all the way through to September 2023 is wet conditioning. September 2023 is when we want to have finished mill rolls going to customers that they can sample and they can run, say, the first good material. Then we scale up from there and eventually fill the machine.
So in North America, you have plants in Canada and the US?
Correct. And in Anaheim, California as well.
Okay, so this is my question. In the US, it's here in Anaheim? Is the only place?
Anaheim's significantly smaller. The Alaska site is the biggest. We do have paper manufacturing capabilities in Canada. Does not serve the release kind of market that goes into more it's a business unit called Technosol. So if this table here has a laminate product in it, it might be making paper that goes into finished product like that.
Okay.
Matt, do you have any issue? You mentioned the new hires you're looking to bring in. Have you had issues with staffing? Do you have a concern that within the next 12 months you could add those many people?
Yes, it's tight everywhere. Basically, all the positions that we're looking at, whether they're operators, product management positions, R&D positions. We have not started hiring for the operator teams yet, but we've had discussions around that. We do have some individuals that we hope within the mill will bid for the jobs on the machine. Talk about higher salaries and things like that, as well as previous experience that they've had. But it is starting fresh for us, so it's going to be a big challenge. We know we're competing with a lot of other manufacturers for talent.
Do you have any relationship with the local PTEC, City BOCES group?
We actually just had them on site 3 weeks ago. I think they came through.
I was going to suggest that because we're doing a manufacturing day and City BOCES coming up. So I think it's important to start getting the information out so you can start with some recruitment maybe for the next class.
Absolutely. One of the challenges I had with the tour was showing our empty hall.
Right.
So walking them in there and basically being like, hey, imagine what this
Visualize
will look
this.
like. You know, this will be full. There won't be really any room to walk around. We did have a nice project we did at the beginning of August called Cardboard Engineering, where we had staff over from Germany, actually an operator from a machine we have in Germany came over his first time to the US. We had to get him a passport for that. And we went through and mocked up how the coder's gonna run, how material comes in, how it goes out, where do we wanna position different pieces of secondary, tertiary equipment. I thought that would be a big hit with some of the P-Tech students, and they weren't very interested in that. They liked the machines we had running, the things that you could see, that you could feel a difference on. So, yeah, right now you have to have an imagination to see how that hall is gonna be when it's full, but there's certainly opportunities for it.
Have you hired any P-Tech students in the past yet, or?
We had that question, I don't think that we
Okay.
have. Yeah, I think it's been a little while since we've had significant hiring increases, so.
Good, thank you.
Well, that's primarily because I would say you were running the converting operation which is a much lower scale.
Correct.
Requirement, yeah.
Makes sense.
Any other board members have any questions or?
What's our participation in this? Is it strictly the pilot and the sales tax exemption, or are we doing any financing or anything like that, Kevin?
In a $25 million project, it's not much we can offer, but no, at this time we're not. Yeah, just the pilot and
Great.
There's currently a pilot in place that expires at the end of this year, so this is a new project, so I'm assuming we're looking at restructuring it to be a 20-year manufacturing pilot.
On the entirety of the facility or on only this portion?
The entire facility is under the existing pilot that was put in place about 10 years ago, I think. Which is, we've had multiple pilots with Scholler since '61. This one, will be it will probably be a deviation. I would suspect we will need to structure it to make sure they're getting some real bang for the buck to encourage not only this, but future projects to move forward this way.
Great.
Any other questions or
I'll
comments?
just note that we will, like other projects, will probably serve as lead agency for this, so we're confirming that. Doesn't appear to be a site plan requirement from the town of Richland, so. So therefore, we'll have a case where additional communication with the town is required. Make sure that they're aware of the project and our participation, so.
Maybe just to offer a visual for everyone, just as I assume this was a little bit too small, I don't know if you want to pass that around. The 3D image I think is probably the most the most interesting, but you can see the site layout on the backside as well.
It's interesting, when I was working my tools, I worked as a millwright. I did 3 or 4 outages up there, working on the paper lines and stuff
Okay.
for maintenance and service and everything, so. I haven't been up there since, you stopped the coating and paper lines.
Exciting.
Absolutely.
Okay,
The project in itself, but the future potential is just is great.
It's
And that's-
great to see that plant utilized 100% again. Any other questions? So I guess, there's no more questions. I'm gonna ask for a motion and a second on the initial resolution for Schuler paper.
I'll move it.
Motion by Lynn Schick, seconded by Tricia Peter Clark. Are there any questions, comments, or any additional? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carry. Great.
Fundamentally, what the initial resolution is, it qualifies. It's been reviewed, the application has been reviewed by legal counsel, Martin Damon, and it's basically just stating that it's eligible for IDA assistance. It doesn't define exactly what that IDA is, but it authorizes the public hearing, which we have to have before we can really vote on any incentive package.
Understood. bit on that diagram on the back, and I think there's a human scale. Sometimes we have somebody thrown in there.
There's that little guy in the forklift, I noticed.
There is.
Yeah, where we gotta put one.
Yeah.
Put a little quarterback there throwing a football 70 yards.
70 yards. Josh Allen.
Where's machine get up to?
It's Hamburg, Germany. Yeah, we'll export it over to us. Piece by piece.
Okay, Matt, you're welcome to stay for the meeting. Get a cup of coffee or whatever, but we're all set with the initial resolution. I'm sure we'll be talking in the near future.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
You wanna bring this back to you or?
Unfortunately, I can't leave the,
Yeah, I can do the drawings, yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
Okay, so
Thanks for coming down.
Matt, thank you very much again. We're gonna move to agenda item number 5, the treasurer's report. We have no report in this week.
No, I apologize for not having, I was expecting to have both the June and July report, Jack Alter was involved in a car accident. And
You okay?
He's okay, but he's kind of out of commission for a little while, so we'll have those as the next meeting.
Okay. Now, number 6 on our agenda, the conflict of interest policy. I'll turn this over to you, Kev.
Sure. So as a public benefit corporation, the organization and its members are subject to provisions of the General Municipal Law, and Public Officers Law. One of those provisions relates to conflict of interest and the policy that has to be formally established, which it has been, but has to be reaffirmed on an annual basis. And then ultimately, members have to sign a statement that, in effect, states that they do not have a conflict of interest. If such a conflict arose, there are ways to address it. Primarily, it's through disclosure and then recusal. If you did have an interest in a particular project or anything of that nature that would cross over into a potential conflict of interest. And even appearances of impropriety are covered here. So this is a standard conflict of interest policy from the General Municipal Law. The state of New York offers the Authority Budget Office, which ultimately oversees all IDAs in New York, requires this to be adopted and published on the organization's website. So this is just a reaffirmation. The good news is there isn't anything new or additional that needs to be added to our existing policy, so it's really more of a restatement of our current policy. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
This doesn't take the place of what we do with the county or anything, right?
No, I mean, from time to time, I think the county sends out a conflict of interest statement.
I didn't see one this year. The disclosure, right? Disclosure, financial disclosure.
Yeah, it's financial disclosure.
No, financial disclosure, right? So this,
See one either.
No.
this is separate and distinct, but would essentially cover the members. So if
My
you're,
name's spelled wrong on there, like I don't know if you care, but there's an H after the C in my first name. I don't matter.
You want me to put an H there, yeah?
I don't care. I start pronouncing that H.
Signatures was important.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Kevin on this conflict of interest policy? Okay, so we should, do we reaffirm this?
yeah, I
vote?
would recommend a
Okay.
vote to reaffirm.
So every year we have an annual review, and then, do we have to reaffirm this every year?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we do.
Yep.
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure we do.
Alright, like with all our policies? Okay, all right, so a motion, do I have a motion and a second to reaffirm our annual conflict of interest policy?
I'll second.
Motion by Nick Canale with an H.
Nick.
Do I have a second?
Mark,
I'll second.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Oh, Mark, okay, second by Mark Greco.
Let's see.
Sorry, Mark, I didn't see it. All right, any additions, errors, or corrections, or any comments for Kevin on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Okay, before we go into delinquent loan report, Mike, is it okay if I jump down into 12 and 13? As long as we're in, before we go to executive session?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so why don't we go down to 12? The engagement letter for Grossman Sanborn.
This is just the, for the audit, the fiscal year ending 7/31/22. The engagement letter, let me see, it's just a modest increase as we would anticipate. The 21 engagement cost for the audit was $11,550. The 22 engagement letter is $12,360, so it's a 7% increase. And there will be a new lead. It won't be Christina this year because there's restrictions. They can't use the same person more than 5 consecutive years. And her time is ran out. The lead will be Michael Leeson, Lisson. He's been involved, so he will be the engagement partner for this specific audit, at least for 1 year.
Okay. So do we need to take action on this one to,
Just authorize.
Authorize it.
Where's Mike to sign it?
Yeah.
Okay, Mike.
okay. So I guess we'll need a motion.
I'll make a
second.
motion.
Okay, motion by Tim Stahl, seconded by
I'll second.
Mark Greco to allow Mike to sign an engagement letter for our audit. Any questions?
I have a question. When's the last time that we did put this out for a bid or any other, just to see again, that it is, it seems like a very fair price from my mind, I don't know.
It's more than fair.
Well, I know that, Mike, and you say that every year when I ask this question, but
We
the
don't have
question
to,
is.
we're not
Not saying we have
we're
to.
not required to. We did
Totally
this 10 years ago or whatever. We went out and it's a real task to go out and do this. They were by far the most competitive firm that we dealt with. We're not required to do that, but if you want to do that, not with this one, I hope, because we're already involved with the audit. If you want to do it next year, I mean, it's something that could be done.
I personally, I would recommend, I think once every 10 years is more than reasonable to just, again, show that we are doing the good faith effort to verify that the price is good. I know it seems like a good one, I know you believe it is, and there's a good way to prove it is, and that's just by getting some other estimates and seeing. So just, again, once every 10 years, I think is reasonable.
Not trying to be lazy on it, but after you get in with someone and you're doing it and you gotta flip over to someone, you gotta retrain them on everything, and it's manpower intensive.
No, I understand.
Okay, thanks, Tim. Any other comments or questions for Mike in the engagement letter? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. Okay, Michael, HUD interest return 2021.
We are
Can we afford
required, huh?
Can we afford it?
It's tough this time. Actually, it's getting a little bit better. The interest rate may change significantly, but going forward. But yeah, this is the calculation based upon this is the interest that is earned on HUD-based accounts in the bank. It's not interest associated with a loan or anything like that. It's just interest earned in the deposit that we have in the bank over one year period, which is 2021. a tough 16. And we have to wire this. The wiring's gonna cost more than the interest, but that has to be wired to HUD once a year. And then we file a report with the treasurer's office that was done.
Who pays the wiring fee? Us or them?
We,
Okay, so I guess a motion and a second for the interest return to HUD is
I'll
required.
move it.
And motion by Barry,
I'll second.
seconded by Tricia. Any questions for Michael on this?
You know, it's ridiculous because with program income, if it's less than 20,000, you're allowed to keep it. But for $16 of interest, we have to ship it back to them. It's ridiculous, but anyway, this is it.
Any other questions or comments?
No arguments on that one.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, now, I think that's it for open item agendas. Go into executive session.
I'll make motions.
Motion, do I have a motion by Tim Stahl, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Nick Canelli to go into executive session. At what time, Lynn?
9:47.
9:47. And Kevin, the reason we're going into executive session?
Yeah, to address the financial circumstances of a particular individual or corporation. I think that covers each of the various items, 7 through 11.
Okay, all those in favor? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Okay, we are in executive session.
Michigan.
Okay, we're out. Cameras are on.
Okay, we'll come out of executive session. Can I get a motion and a second to come out of executive session, please?
I'll move it.
Second.
Motion by Barry Trimble, seconded by Mark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? At what time, Len?
11:26.
11:26. Okay, a few items that we need to take action on. The first was a delinquent loan report. Can I get a motion and a second to accept the delinquent loan report?
I'll move it.
Motion by Len Schick, seconded by
I'll second it.
Nick Canale. Okay, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, the country corner store, IRP loan. I have a motion and a second on that, please.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Tricia, second by Barry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried. Okay, the only thing is under other business,
And
Initial resolution.
Wait a
Shoulder. Oh,
No,
sorry,
we did that.
sorry.
We did that.
did we,
I'd like to make a motion
Yeah.
on the pilot EDF, fund.
we got a motion to turn it.
And I'd like to make a motion to authorize Mike to request that the county reinstate the ability for us to withhold a portion of the county's portion of the pilot monies that come in. And I'd like to request that it be at 25% in order to help recapitalize that fund that hasn't seen any recapitalization in the last 2 years. You know, with the anticipation that we would be able to use that money to help the county in projects going forward.
But that,
and for emergency uses.
Correct.
we,
I'll second that.
we're scheduled, kind of a generic, agenda item, economic development update, for the October meeting of the EDP committee. And so that can, if you're available, Gary, I mean, that will be the topic that we'll discuss primarily at that committee meeting.
And that's the only thing I was gonna add to the next motion, if you don't mind. Then Nick and I will be available to speak to anybody to discuss the need for it, to justify it, and show how this fund is important to recapitalize.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, anything else? You got the meeting scheduled.
When's our next meeting?
The
The
18th.
18th of October,
10
10
a.m.
a.m.
You're
Checking on me, aren't you?
No, I'm just asking for,
Yeah. Well, that's right, so we did in this next discussion, yeah. Good point, thank you. Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, Mark, thank you. Second, Barry, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.